Hi. So this is my first meeting, so I'm very excited. Thanks for inviting me. I'm going to just read you guys a short story, possibly two, depending on time constraints. Short story doesn't have a name because it had a working title, but it was a meme, so I didn't necessarily keep that. Okay, hi. Laura James 4 chapters into a very heavy textbook when the ghost finally slid out of the book's pages. I'm just going to keep it. The ghost fell in a back and forth motion, cutting crescents into the air as if smiling all the way down. Laura Jane picked it up gently. She didn't want to get a paper cut, and the ghost was as fragile as a pressed flower. When she placed it on the table, the ghost let out a wheezing sound like an accordion leaking air. It was patterned with symmetrical creases, as though it had been folded several times. As all ghosts, it smelled faintly of vanilla and dust. She picked it up, placed it back into the book, and went to the checkout desk, smiling at the librarian as she said goodnight. Outside it was raining. It was always raining. And Laura Jane held the book close to her chest to keep its contents dry. She walked off under oak and birch and did not step on a single earthworm because she already had all the ghosts she needed. At home, Laura Jane opened the book to where the ghost lay. She set the kettle to boil and popped some bread into the toaster, singing a song that was sometimes drowned out by the kettle's rumbling and grumbling. If the ghost spoke, she couldn't hear it. When everything was ready, Laura Jane sat at the table and ate, relishing the crunch of the toast, the honey-laced bitterness of oversteeped black tea. The light flickered, and Laura Jane hit it to make its beam steady, leaving crumbs on the lampshade. Softly, the ghost whispered, and Laura Jane told it to wait and be quiet. She took a book from the stack that supported her feet, Origami for Beginners, and she flipped through it until she found instructional diagrams for the crane. The ghost was only slightly firmer than tissue paper, so Laura Jane constantly had to keep herself from ripping it by accident. Nevertheless, she ended up with a lopsided crane, study wing, short-necked, but three-dimensional. With this new room for words, the ghost could speak. It asked what she wanted. Now, Laura Jane wanted a lot of things. She wanted to have more money than she did, and she wanted to have more good sense. She wanted to eat without reservation and to drink without judgment. She wanted Mr. Jones up the lane to stop looking at her like that, or at all. She wanted a cute violinist who busked at Marjoram Station to play a song inspired by her. She wanted to always know the right thing to say. But a ghost is not a genie. If it could grant wishes, it wouldn't be a ghost. So Laura Jane swallowed back her wants, and she told the ghost that she had a job for it to do. The ghost sighed, because ghosts are always sighing, and agreed, on the condition that she take it to its grave when all was said and done. This would probably not be too difficult, so Laura Jane nodded. Ghosts have very little conception of the future because they're barely able to be present in the present. Laura Jane had had several memories stolen from her when she was a child, and she had trouble finding them. So who better to find a memory than a ghost? She kept the ghost in her pocket and began walking to town every day, searching. The ghost hummed a bit of a song we used to know whenever Laura Jane got close to a stolen memory. Any stolen memory, not just her own. The ghost hummed in lecture halls, in theaters, on trains and buses, under birds' nests and near recycling bins. This was how Laura Jane learned that her city was full to bursting with stolen memories from people living and dead. Memories looked a bit like her ghost, divided by fold lines and almost translucent, grainy textured. They didn't smell like ghosts, though. They switched dust and vanilla for mint, or sun-dried laundry, or cigarette smoke, or bleach, whatever sounded strongest at the time of the memory's conception. Whenever she found that a memory was still linkable to its rightful owner, she would tuck it into an envelope and mail it home. One day, dragged north of city limits by the ghost's humming, Laura Jane came across a memory that featured the cute violinist who busked at Marjoram Station. It was sitting in the passenger seat of a rustling car through which wildflowers and weeds grew. And when Laura Jane smelled it, she recoiled, feeling bile rush up her throat. The ghost was silent and feeling deserted but for Laura Jane. Only sounds were of skylarks and buzzing bees in her breathing. It wasn't clear whether the violinist was a victim or a perpetrator in the memory, but either way, Laura Jane was going to send it to the police. She was shaking so badly that when she licked the envelope flap, she accidentally cut her tongue. It didn't matter, a little bit of blood wouldn't make the envelopes innards any scarier than they already were. She mailed it off and stopped taking the train at Marlin Station for a month. When she came back, the violinist was gone. The station wasn't lacking music, though. The ghost hummed tunelessly from her pocket, sending her in search of another memory. She did another systemic sweep of her house, just in case, but the lost pieces of her past were not there. All she did was unearth some spiders. She refolded the ghost whenever it got too flat so it could still hum, and she walked the streets of the city, and for months and months she found everyone but herself. And one day in summer, the ghost hummed her into an elevator at a mall. It was frigid with air conditioning and smelled like sweat, and deodorant meant to cover sweat. And Laura Jane couldn't pick out a separate scent until everyone left in a sudden rush. The memory that she found smelled like the space under a bed, and also like the air before a storm. It had been folded into the shape of the fortune teller Laura Jane used to play with as a child. When she unfolded it, the scene played before her. In the memory, Laura Jane of the past sat eating dinner with two adults. It was a family setting with people that Laura Jane of the present didn't recognize as her family, but Laura Jane of the past looked entirely comfortable. There was a knock at the door. One of the adults stood. When they opened the door, in stepped in the people Laura Jane of the present knew as her parents. They were smiling with all of their teeth, and they had a lot of them. The memory cut off there, but now that Laura Jane knew the exact scent, she thought that she could find other fragments on her own. So she took the ghost to its grave as promised. As they walked, the ghost asked Laura Jane what she would do now, with knowledge of her kidnapping. Laura Jane shook her head and told the ghost she wasn't sure, but she needed more evidence before she could make a move that would matter. She needed to know more about her original parents, the ones who weren't thieves. 2 times over. The grave dirt was soft beneath Laura Jane's shoes. She visited a few cemeteries, and the ghost was a little confused as to which one its body had been buried in, until they came across the grave of Margaret McIntyre. She died 9 or so years ago. The epitaph didn't specify how. The ghost read it aloud and sighed. Ghosts are always sighing, and vanished, leaving a hint of dust and vanilla on the breeze. Laura Jane stood thinking for a while, then set off back to town and going quickly. She had to pack. She was visiting her parents' house, and from past experience, she rarely left that place when she went to. Okay, what section are we on?
You're on the writing process.
Oh, neat, okay, so this part is fun. I get a lot of my ideas when I'm walking, which would be great if I liked being outdoors, but I don't. So it's usually just me pacing around my apartment a lot. But, so yeah, I also got my ideas from puns, much to the disgust of my friends. I'm actually working on a horror story, maybe a novel, we'll see, right now. That is based entirely on pun. So, we'll see how that goes. I don't know how scary it's going to actually be.
It's a bomb. It's going to be scary.
What kind of scary is debatable. But yes, so that's the ideas. As for writing itself, I tend to choose the first line that I really like, and then from there, the story just goes downhill. But I guess I spend the rest of the story trying to live up to the first line. So I had a lot of drafts of just like one line beginnings of multiple different stories. And I got bored with myself really easily, so I move around projects a lot. So, as mentioned in the biography, usually I'm working on like 5 short stories at any given time, which makes the progress on every single one of them much slower. Because I'll like do 500 words here, 500 words there, instead of just like finish off a 5,000 word story. But it also makes it kind of fun. It does sometimes make it tricky to have my characters be distinct. That's something that I work on a lot. Distinct character voice and that sort of thing. Because recently I've mostly just been writing me in horror settings. Which is interesting to write, but when your friends and parents read it, they say, what's going on in your life? So, working on that. Let's get some different characters. But yeah, so that's essentially my process. And then, what are we on? Oh, another interesting thing that I would like to talk about. Wow. Okay, so as mentioned, I don't like to be outdoors. But that's only a little bit true because I really like trees and flowers and like plants and all those green things. But I could not deal with insects, which is really hurtful for me because I super want to garden. It like seems like a very writerly thing to do. I'll just be like digging things out to put flowers in, but I can't do that. Like if a bee goes past, I'm going to scream. And nobody's going to enjoy that. Me, the bee, the neighbors, like it's not good. So right now, when I go back to Calgary, which is where I'm originally from, I try and work with my dad in the yard. He also really likes gardening. He calls the trees his boys. For some reason. Yeah, that makes my brother really jealous because he's like, aren't I your boy? And I was like, buddy, if only. But yeah, so I'm trying to kind of work through my deep and very sad fear of bugs by going out to garden with my dad. It's not working, however, ideally it will one day. But yeah, that's gardening and insects and suffering, but for a brighter tomorrow. So that is the other thing I'm interested in. Questions. That's where we're at. Yeah.
Potentially a two-part question. Did you say that the original title of that story was based on a meme?
Yes.
What? Okay, part two. What meme?
It's very specific meme, but like, okay, so it's like a text post-based meme on Tumblr, and it's a little bit long. It's hard to explain. It's about ghosting, like ghosting as a concept, and I was like, that's great. And the story originally was going to involve ghosting and ghosts, and I was like, I'm so clever. But my friends all got angry. So I was like, okay, next time though. And then the second part?
No, the second part was
okay.
meme.
Yes.
Any question? So the first starting the stories with the first line and then trying to move up to it, I do that too. In drafts, do you ever find that the first line ends up moving somewhere else into the story?
Sometimes. But then after that, it's like, I know that was the best one.
Yeah.
So the beginning of the story takes a dip in quality, then you'll just get a little bump of like, how nice is this? If only we started the story this way. So usually it stays at the beginning, or I move it to a different story, because again, I'm always working on like 15. So yeah.
What's ghosting?
Okay,
I don't know.
ghosting is like, if you're texting someone and you're having like a really good rapport, and then one day they kind of just like vanish, and you're like, oh, what's going down? And they just don't say anything. Usually it's like a really shitty way to break up with someone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, wait until you hear about gaslighting.
That's an old movie, 1945.
But yeah, so the original story, there was going to be like more characters, and one was going to ghost the other, but one was actually a ghost, and I was like, this is great.
I like that.
I don't know if it would have maintained itself over time, because I was spending a lot of time just like linking back to meme culture and being like, which is not necessarily a story. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm a pacer too, so I have a question. Do you have a set path through your apartment that you repeat? Or do you just move where the story moves you?
Kind of depends. So my main pacing area is in the kitchen because it's the place with the most space, and it's like in a very square pattern. So sometimes I'll just like go in square, and then sometimes I'll like salsa, which is fun, but unproductive. It changes whether I'm like working on a story or just like thinking of ideas so I can start working on a story, or if I'm listening to a podcast to get inspiration for a story, then it like varies that way. But usually it's just in square shape because I need to save my creativity for my writing instead of my walking patterns.
I'm trying to find the name.
Yeah.
someone that's really influenced you, like either writing-wise or like up to this point?
Oh, Carmen Maria Machado. She is so cool. Okay, so she wrote a collection of short stories called Her Body and Other Parties. It's like, I don't know what to call it. It's like new, weird, fabulous, feminist. It's a lot of things. Horror for sure, which is, it's so cool. You can find a lot of her stuff online for free, which is how I found her originally. I also really like Alice
She was
Solican.
just, sorry to interrupt, she was just nominated for Lambda Award.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's been nominated for like so many things, just
Yeah,
like
for
dominance.
yeah,
Yeah. Her body and other things is so cool.
It's so good, yes.
And then the other person who I think I found through Carmen Maria Machado was Alice Solican. She's American, I think. She might be Canadian, but I might just be putting Canadian on everyone. She writes a lot of, I guess, horror, speculative fiction. She's cool because, like, around when she was my age, which was some, I don't know, 10 years ago, she was already, like, submitting to a Ken magazine and stuff, and I was like, how cool is she? So again, a lot of free stuff online, which is part of why I found her. But yeah. Anything else? Okay, thank you so much for having me.